Hello, my paper peeps. Today I want to share with you 24 scrapbooking tips and tricks that I think you might like to try in your scrapbooking journals today. Now grab your favorite beverage, whether it's a hot tea or a coffee or even an iced beverage, because it might take a while. But I will try to deliver this message as efficiently as possible. So here we go. Number 1. Slow down the adhesion rate of your double-sided adhesive by applying glue stick. This will help you align your projects with the freedom of removing and adjusting the projects and not having it adhere instantly. So that by far is my best scrapbooking tip and trick for this year. Number 2, I call this my DIY floret. If you want to add three-dimensional interest to your scrapbook journals, then I highly recommend diving into this whole idea of polymer clay creations. All you have to do is braid it, roll it up, cut it in half, bake it at 275 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 to 20 minutes, paint it with some Sculpey gloss or Glossy Accents, and here you have a beautiful three-dimensional tag topper or ephemera for your scrapbooks. Now, since we're playing with polymer clay, if you find you don't want to create them yourself, then you know what, just take your candy molds and use those as molds to create beautiful 3D embellishments. But I wouldn't stop there. Why not add some gold foil strips before you bake your polymer clay ephemera? Number 4, I call this the removable page DIY journals. This is where you can create DIY journals that will allow you to add and subtract journal pages as you go along. If you screw up, then it's so easy to remove the mistake and redo it. It's great because you have these removable spines that can later be replaced with art pages that will cover up those spines if you don't like them. Number 5, journaling with beautiful ink. If you haven't already tried calligraphy, I think that maybe this year you might want to challenge yourself with adding a beautiful array of journaling inks to your scrapbook journaling journey. Number 6. So you want to make more tags, but for some reason you can't find your fancy tag dies. Either you misplaced them or accidentally threw them in the garbage. And now you want to create these perfect angles that you see with your previous tags and want to create that with what you do have, and that's just a simple gift card that you have used up. I would recommend just cutting several different angles out of the 4 corners of the gift card, and depending on what size tag you want or what look you want out of your tag will determine what corner you are going to use from that gift card. And all you have to do is use the one side, trace it, and then flip that over onto the other side and trace that same angle into the other side of the tag. And voila, you have a tag that has equal corners on either side. Number 7, the easy book closure. All you need is a brad and an eyelet for this technique. Take the brad, place the eyelet through the brad, upside down. Punch a hole into wherever you want the closure to be. Place the eyelet upside down. And before you place the brad, you want to make sure that you adhere the eyelet with some glue on the back side. And there you have an easy DIY closure for your scrapbook journal. If you have a fetish for polymer clay 3D embellishments, then I think you'll love this next tip. If you don't have Sculpey glaze to add a glossy look to your polymer clay embellishments, all you need to do is use Glossy Accents. It does the exact same thing.
If you haven't seen this one yet, this is one of my favorites. This is number 9, using your 3D embossing folder to create a vintage vibe to your scrapbook journals. Here I'm adding a silver archival pigment ink to the top of the embossing folder. Then I take my brayer and add gold ink to the same side where I added the silver ink. And the brayer will only touch the highest points on the embossing folder, so you'll get this 3D effect, which I absolutely love. Now, if you really love that vintage vibe and you're adding photos to your scrapbook journals, I love this technique. I usually add black and white photos to my scrapbook journals and then from there make it vintage by using a brush stroke stamp like this and then stamping with any of the distress inks to create that vintage look. Number 11. This one's an oldie but a goodie. Just to recap, your distress inks are used for more than just inking your edges. Here I used a craft mat, deposited some ink, and then sprayed it with water, and then took a piece of acetate, rubbed it into the ink, and then using the kissing technique created a subtle paint splash background that I think you will love as a background to your cards and tags. But let's not stop there. It's time to introduce or revisit the whole world of pigment powders. Here I just placed a little bit of pigment powder on my craft mat, added some water to it, and taking a brush, swirling it around to mix the pigment in with the water. Yes, and I know this is a lot of ink, but I'm going to be using this whole batch to create multiple cards. You don't necessarily need this much if you're only going to do one background. And then using embossing glaze, I made this monochromatic card base. Lucky number 13, and we are over halfway there. This is using archival ink with texture paste to create 3-dimensional artwork on your tags and cards. Here I used transparent gloss texture paste, and I mixed it in with archival ink. And the archival ink I just deposit right onto the craft mat and then mix the two together. And I continue to add more ink as I go along until I get that desired color and consistency. Then I take my favorite stencil and I smear this beautiful transparent glaze all over the card. And this is what you get. Isn't this beautiful? I love how you can actually see the translucency and some of the text shined through the leaves here. Okay, number 14. You can't sew, but you want to add fabric to your scrapbook journals. Well, this is one way you can do it. I love using crafting cloth. This one is made out of calico fabric, and it works unbelievably well with Taperology's rub-on stickers. I love this cloth because you can actually fray it a little bit to give it that vintage or aged look. And with this fabric, you can actually stamp on it as well. I use the VersaFine ink, stamp my favorite image, and then add one of these rub-on stickers to add interest to the cloth. It's so easy and yet so elegant. Number 15. Use old jewelry to embellish your scrapbook journals and tags. Here I'm using some old costume jewelry. It was perfect for the tops of my tags. Number 16. Now, instead of just adding ribbon to the tops of your tags, why not add some galvanized floral wire or aluminum craft wire to wrap around the top of the ribbon and create this aesthetic effect that you will love to add to your tags. Number 17. Here's how to use up all that washi tape. And specifically, if you actually have washi tape stickers, this is a great way to use it all up. Okay, here's an oldie but a goodie. This is embossing and stamping on canvas. And this one actually is sticky canvas, so you don't have to add adhesive to the back. It's a peel and stick canvas. I just love using distress ink on the canvas, embossing it, and then removing the sticky backing and just adding it to my tags or scrapbooking. And then to give it that more weathered look, all you have to do is just rough up the edges to remove threads from the actual canvas. This one is packed with 3 tips. Number 19, debossing your tags. This is where you flip the embossed side of the folder over and use the debossed side to add interest to your projects. Now, tip number 20, once you've flipped over the folder, you can use either perfect medium or Versamark to the embossing process. So that's tip number 20. Now, tip number 21, now that you have this debossed area, add the perfect pearls to get that vintage look, or what I call the heirloom effect. It's a great way to add a little bit of glam to your crafting projects. And then all you have to do is mist it in place. Number 22, turn that oven back on, because you know what? Gold foil actually works with your polymer clay inside your candy silicone molds. Number 23, don't forget to make sure you use framing as a way to add interest to your scrapbook journals. And I'm not just saying use just frames, I'm saying layer them, because that's what really supports the photos that are in your scrapbook journals. Last but not least, number 24. Use corner embellishing to add interest to your scrapbook journals without taking up too much space. Always remember that your thoughts and feelings are just as important as the photos that you place in your journals. I really hope you enjoyed these scrapbooking tips and tricks. If you're interested in more tips and tricks, then you'll probably want to watch this video here and here. Until I see you in those videos, take care, have a fabulous week, and we'll see you in my other videos. Bye!